Welcome back to the English Booster podcast, where we explore practical English expressions and help you communicate more confidently at work. So today we're going to talk about a structure that is extremely common in everyday English, but unfortunately it's not so commonly used by Polish people, I've noticed. And in Polish we would often translate this structure such as skończyło się na tym, że zostałam w domu. For example, or ostatecznie straciliśmy tego klienta. And the phrase I'm going to introduce in a minute is a fantastic phrase because it helps you describe situations that didn't exactly go as planned, both in everyday and business situations. So let's take a look at how it works. So first, let's have a little test, okay? How would you translate the following sentence? Try to translate it aloud. Planowałam wyjść na miasto, ale skończyło się na tym, że zostałam w domu. Planowałam wyjść na miasto, ale skończyło się na tym, że zostałam w domu. Go ahead. Okay. And probably you've translated this sentence in the following way. I was planning to go out yesterday, but it ended up that I stayed home. So this is simply a literal translation from the Polish language, okay? But instead, we should use the following structure. And now focus. End up doing something. For example, so the sentence we've just translated, I was planning to go out yesterday, but I ended up staying home. At home, which means, now notice two important things, okay? We don't start a sentence with it ended up, skończyło się. We start with a subject, podmiot. Skończyło się na tym, że ja zostałam w domu, więc zaczynamy od I ended up, okay? So in the Polish language we say skończyło się, that's why we want to say it ended up, okay? But in English we start with a subject, so I ended up staying home. So then, another thing, after the verb end up, we always use another verb with this ing ending, this gerund form, okay? So once again, the full sentence, repeat after me. You know, I was planning to go out yesterday, but I ended up staying at home. Skończyło się na tym, że zostałam w domu. Czyli dokładnie, ja skończyłam na tym, że zostałam w domu. Okay, so let's take a look at more examples, shall we? Of course, with the sentence translation, so that's going to be your task. So, some business example, perhaps. Let's translate this sentence. Skończyło się na tym, że przełożyliśmy tę kampanię. Go ahead. Skończyło się na tym, że przełożyliśmy tę kampanię. Translate. And again, you can't start a sentence with it ended up that we, okay? But starting with a subject. So, we ended up postponing that campaign. Again, skończyło się na tym, że my, so we ended up postponing, ing ending, that campaign, okay? So, end up postponing something. Okay, another business example, so let's translate yet another sentence. Planowaliśmy krótkie spotkanie, ale skończyło się na tym, że rozmawialiśmy prawie 2 godziny. Again, I know it's a long sentence. Planowaliśmy krótkie spotkanie, ale skończyło się na tym, że rozmawialiśmy prawie 2 godziny. Go ahead. Okay, the answer. We planned a short meeting, but we actually ended up talking for almost 2 hours. We planned a short meeting, but we ended up talking for almost 2 hours. Are you with me? So you always start with the subject. I ended up, we ended up, they ended up, plus this gerund form. Okay? Another one to be practiced. Translate the following sentence. Miałam pracować tylko 2 godziny nad tym projektem, ale skończyło się na tym, że pracowałam cały wieczór. Of course, if you want to, you can just translate the second part of the sentence. Miałam pracować tylko 2 godziny nad tym projektem, ale skończyło się na tym, że pracowałam cały wieczór. Go ahead, take your time. Okay, ready? So I was going to work 2 hours on that project, but I ended up working the whole evening. Okay, repeat after me. I was going to work 2 hours on that project, but I ended up working the whole evening. Okay? Clear? So now let's move on to this future context, okay? So let's talk about the future. Let's translate this sentence. Jeśli nie poprawimy tej strategii, skończy się na tym, że stracimy więcej klientów. Once again, jeśli nie poprawimy tej strategii, skończy się na tym, że stracimy więcej klientów. And the answer, if we don't improve this strategy, we will end up losing more clients. If we don't improve this strategy, we will end up losing more clients. So notice, we will end up losing. We are adding this will because we're talking about the future. Skończy się na tym, że stracimy klientów. So we will end up losing more clients. Okay, one more to go. And this structure is also very often used when we talk about consequences. Okay, let's translate. Jeśli będziemy nanosić tyle zmian, skończy się na tym, że nie dotrzymamy deadline'u. Jeśli będziemy nanosić tyle zmian, skończy się na tym, że nie dotrzymamy deadline'u. Go ahead. Okay, let's take a look at the answer. So if we make so many changes, we will end up missing the deadline, or we will end up not keeping the deadline, okay? And pay attention, this is actually the first conditional, so after if we have present simple. If we make so many changes, we will end up missing the deadline, or we will end up not keeping the deadline, okay? So to sum up, this structure is extremely useful because it allows you to talk about some unexpected results, right? So something didn't go according to plan, and then you say what exactly happened in the end, eventually, right? So that's exactly when English speakers use this end up doing something structure. So next time you want to say skończyło się na tym, że, remember we don't say it ended up, but I ended up or we ended up doing something. So now, if you've stayed with me till the end, then I've got a task for you. Create one sentence using today's structure and leave it in the comments, okay? That's the best way to make sure it really sticks in your mind. I mean, the newly learned structure. And of course, if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the podcast so that you don't miss the next one. Cheers!